So, right before we come to 7th, there's two main questions. One is, when was the move to do an MBA, and did you feel that, okay, I've reached where I have, and the MBA is just, without an MBA, this is only where I can reach, and that's how you went in? And the second is, did you know what's an RPO, how it functions, and you could dive right into it?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question that you've asked me, because MBA came in very late in my life, and I realized, being an HR, that if you have to grow, so let's take a very hypothetical situation. Person A spent 3 years in the company, achieved XYZ value in the company. Person B, same tenure, same achievement in the company. What do we do? Only one position. What do? They go step 2. Look at the educations. Oh, this guy's a graduate. Oh, you know what? This guy's an MBA. Has spent 3 more years in his life, knows management. So you know what? Tomorrow if he becomes a CEO, tomorrow he becomes a vice president, has the strategic bent of mind, because in an MBA, in a BTech or engineering, you go through that whole grind, presentation, you're taught how to talk, public speaking, all that is part of the program. But whereas a graduate, you don't know all that. So I realized that if I have to compete tomorrow with anyone, most of my peers were MBA. I wasn't. That could pull me back. While I have knowledge, while I have talent, but let's accept it, this person has spent more time educating himself, which I have not. Not always, I'm not saying every organization does this, but there is a merit that it can be. So I said, it's time for me to do an MBA now. Otherwise I can be pulled back. So that's how I got doing my MBA. And so it was thought through, and then I decided to do my MBA. And about RPO, like I said, knowledge, skill. Knowledge is something you keep, like an IT person would do. Every 2 years the technology changes. So he keeps upgrading his knowledge. Similarly, an HR person keeps finding out what does the organization want. And then he realizes, hey, because RPO in the West is very popular, but here in India it's not.
And you've known RPO from the West, from your traveling?
Yes.
Through Manpower?
Yes, through Manpower, through ABN AMRO. I've been quite exposed to the Western culture and everything. And while it was coming in India, I knew that, okay, this will catch up because this is very big in West. It's as good as, go a couple of years back to India. Big brands were never here, right? You talk about a Chanel, you talk about a Gucci, they were never here. But if you travel to the West, you knew these brands. So when they came to India, you would go and purchase them. But when you didn't have exposure to them, you would say that, oh, well, I don't know what this brand is and I don't know why it's so expensive. I rather stick to my ABCD brand, which I wear or I've been wearing for so long. So that was the basic concept for me. So I knew RPO.
So you didn't know bringing in something like RPO would eventually, be the differentiator here?
Yes, I kind of knew, but it has its own pros and cons. Like I gave an example of one of the big brands. Let's say when they come to India, people have the buying capacity, but they will not buy it because it's expensive. Similarly, when RPO came to India, not all organizations bought it, and the organizations that bought it probably didn't know how it works, how the nut and bolts work. Okay, they kind of, now they call it, I went and met a client and they said that, it's actually Desi RPO. It's not RPO, it's Desi RPO. Desi RPO is I've customized it, I've taken it from the West, I've customized it as per my need, and I moved on. But let me admit, by the time I moved to RPO, I had this seed in my head that I want to be an entrepreneur now, because I'd already spent around 12 to 13 years doing this. So I wanted to complete this circle. So I did consulting, corporate, RPO. Now when I go and do something on my own, I have completed the circle. So I did around 1.5 years of RPO, and
so during that time, as you mentioned that you wanted to complete the circle, when does that thought probably come in that, okay, 6 months from now, I'm going to have my own startup, or I'm going to have my own venture? Was it ever like that? Was it as planned, or was it just like, okay, last night I thought about this, I'm just going to go ahead and do this?
So if I choose to answer what you're saying, would sound very fancy, but that's not how it happened with me. when I joined an RPO, I told myself, like I said, what worse can happen? RPO might not work. I've already worked in a corporate, I've already worked in a consultant, someone will give me a job. And I've always been a fairly decent performer in my life. So I said, someone would give me a job. So let me try this RPO bit. When I tried the RPO thing, I liked it. I said, you know what, now is the time for me to start something on my own. But whenever I started or whenever I did anything, I always kept one thing in mind. What worst can happen, right? I become an entrepreneur. I start on my own. What worst can happen? I'll not be successful and I'll have to go back and find a job for myself. Fair, I'll do that. But at least in my life, I tried. So,
and how old were you at that time?
When I started 7th Edge, I was around 31.
Okay.
I needed a lot of funds, which I did. I got funds. I needed a name for the organization. So I moved on from RPO. I resigned, told my bosses that I want to do something on my own. And I resigned on 24th of February. And I still hold a visa for US. On 3rd of March, my company was sending me for a project to US for almost a year. And this is where ethics comes in. So I think if you want to be successful, attitude, ethics, these are a combination of things which make you successful. I decided to leave on 24th of Feb because I said if I go to the United States and then I come back and resign, it's going to be unfair on my organization's part. I've used them. And if you go back in our discussion, I said I was rejected in US. So my urge to go to US was very high.
Yes. I can just imagine that child somewhere finally getting to go there and be like, okay, so excited to that. But you sort of stuck to what you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said that, I told myself that I will make so much money that I'll go to United States with my own money. I don't need a company to sponsor me, and I don't need to be in a company only because they're sending me. So what I'm trying to explain is very important. Look at the larger gain in your life, not those small gains. Going to United States for a year was a small gain, but starting something on my own and being ethical to that company was my larger gain, which helped me. So that's how I quit. I resigned on 24th of Feb, and I think by June I started on my own, and that's how 7th Edge was born. And we needed a name. Excuse me. So we needed a name that. What do we name this company now? So we came up with various things, and we decided 7th Edge because there are 6 steps of recruitment. Because I've been in recruitment for far too long, there were 6 steps of recruitment that a person can do in a corporate. The 7th one, you have to go out. So in your organization, you can come up saying that I have a requirement of X in my organization. You can go and discuss that with your HR, saying that this is what I want. Does these kind of pedigree exist in India? I mean, I don't know. I just have a thought. I have a vision that, this team should do this. I don't know whether this pedigree exists. Then the HR will go out and find out whether this pedigree exists or not. So they will say, yes, this pedigree does exist. You will say, fantastic. That's the 4th one. You will say, fantastic. You know what? I want these guys. HR will say, okay, great, but we need to budget this. So you'll budget that. Then you'll tell HR, here is the budget, here is the pedigree, go out and source these people for me. 6th step, HR actually goes out and start sourcing them. Now when you've got 10 of them, you say, fantastic, you know what? I need 1,000 of these guys. HR alone can't get you those 1,000 guys. That's when they will go out asking for external help, saying that, 900 we will manage, 100 I need from out. And that's when they'll come to people like us, saying that, can you help me with these 100? And that's the 7th step. And that's why we are the 7th edge to every organization. So there was a lot of thought process to name the company. And that's a logo, if you see,
yes.
7th edge. So it's a very intelligent logo again. EDG is the edge and 7th is the 7th. So 7th edge. So we wanted to give our client a perspective that we are a think tank. We've done a lot of thought process to name our own company.
Right.
We could have just written 7th edge.
Exactly.
but we designed the logo in such a way that we tell people that, hey, we are a think tank. If you come to me, I will not do vanilla stuff for you, or rather, don't come to me for vanilla stuff. Come to me where you really need help, and I will bail you out from that.
Okay. And how long did you take to sort of decide all this, strategize, and feel that okay, I've quit my job and right now I'm going to begin on my own?
Oh, very interesting question. So you see my office. This was the office where I sat alone when I started. I really, I'll be flamboyant if I say that, I knew everything from day one, and I knew that 3 years, I didn't know anything. I just walked in. I had a strategy in mind. I had a vision in mind. And I only read somewhere, which was once said that, if you like what you like doing and you have a vision, you'll pull yourself off. But if you don't like what you're doing and you're pushed to do that, you will never pull that off. At this stage, I knew I wanted to do this. So it's okay at every stage if your aspiration is changing. That's fine. So when I started, my aspiration was to do sales. Then my aspiration turned to go to Africa and sell water. Then my aspiration came to do HR. And within HR, then my aspiration went to do corporate. Then went to do RPO. And now, so your aspiration can keep changing. But the bottom line is, your attitude should not change. What worse can happen? Go with that attitude. You will succeed. Even if you don't succeed, it's okay. You've given it a try.
Which you have. I mean, we see more than a lot of people here rather
than
just you sitting here in a corner.
Yeah, so now we have more than 25 people. We have, in last 3 years, offices in America, Baroda, Pune.
So you've been to America, finally.
Oh yes, I did. And like I said, I will earn my own money. You know who took me to America? 7th Edge took me to America.
Wow.
So it was fate. I had to go to America. And I spent almost 2 months there with my own money.
Wow.
I didn't need a company to send me. I didn't need my father to send me. I earned my own money. I went to America by myself, stayed there 2 months, figured out, and I went roaming around whole of America and decided to start an office then in Chicago.